Hey guys, Bobby Hughes here with Heritage Pride Custom Firearms and the Heritage Pride Homestead, and just wanted to bring you guys a little video today on medical supplies for your preps. I'm not going to go in great detail on this medical supply video, just simply because there are other great YouTube channels out there that are a lot more in-depth with medical preparedness. One of them being Skinny Medic and the other one being Patriot Nurse. Those are probably the two most notorious YouTube channels for medical preparedness. But I did want to touch on it briefly just because it falls under the scope of preparedness for my family and I here on the homestead. And I recently attended a LeapCon, the conference in South Carolina, and Skinny Medic was one of the speakers there, and a lot of good information. Now, in my past, I used to be a licensed EMT, emergency medical technician, here in the state of Tennessee. Went to school for that back before the Army. That was another part of my life. So I am very well trained and familiar with different types of medical scenarios. Mainly trauma is what I focused on, but I also trained in triage and first aid, specifically in heart attacks and strokes and really serious medical issues. But like I said, mainly in trauma. So I just wanted to give you a couple of pointers on prepping your first aid stuff. One, you need different kits for different applications in your preparedness. Now, I don't want to stomp on Skinny Medic's feet because he did a class on the different types of first aid kits or medical kits. And I'm not really talking about that. I'm more so talking about in your medical preparedness. Of course, we have our get-home bags and our regular typical first aid kits and regular typical medicine cabinet in the house and things like that, but this is more specifically for your long-term preps. Stuff that I will probably not use unless it's a grid down, can't go to the hospital situation. So what I have, and this is my recommendation for you, and only go to your comfort level, but if it for yourself, but one thing I want to point out, let's say you're the average prepper and you don't have medical training, you've never been a first responder, you've never been a medical professional or anything like that, you wouldn't know how to splint someone's leg if it was broken, you wouldn't know how to administer a nasopharyngeal or oropharyngeal or cric airway or something like that. If you are a well-off person, meaning you have the money to spend, then I highly encourage you to look into more advanced medical preps. If you have a good basis or a good basic foundation for your medical supplies, i.e. Band-Aids and ointments and medicines and stuff like that, then over-the-counter medicines, then maybe start looking at advancing your medical preps. But nothing too crazy, just, basic bulk medical preps, 4x4 gauze pads, sterile and non-sterile, Israeli pressure dressings, tourniquets, airways, things like that are more bulk items that you're going to use in a more traumatic situation. But if you don't feel comfortable performing those scenarios, in the Army, we were taught to treat our buddies, and everyone carried their own IFAK, improvised first aid kit, and or improved first aid kit, whatever you want to call it. So I never used my medical supplies on another soldier. I always used their medical supplies first, and so that way I'm not taken from it. So let's say you're my neighbor and you're a prepper, and you fall off your roof trying to put a communications antenna up or something, and you break your leg. It's a compound fracture, which means the bone has penetrated through your skin, and I am trained to reset that break and splint it and treat you for it. And so what I'm getting at is I don't want to use my medical supplies. Now I will if I have to, but I would rather use your medical supply preps to treat you as opposed to my supplies to treat you. And in that case, I would like to think that I would be happy to use my stuff to treat you, but there may be a barter involved in that. And I hate to be that way. I hate to sound like that, but it may come down to that. If we're a year in and nothing's getting better and supplies are limited, it may come down to what can you do for me to use my supplies to help you. Like I said, I don't foresee it. I don't foresee myself ever being like that, but you never know. It could happen. If things got bad enough, my family comes first. So anyway, I want to encourage you to increase your medical supplies, even if you don't feel comfortable using them on yourself. So I said all that to say this: break your stuff up into scenario storage. All right, this is my long-term stuff. Like I said, we've got first aid kits in the house. We've got our medicine cabinet, stuff that we use day in and day out. I've got my first response bag in our vehicle, things like that. That's stuff for the here and now, for the non-SHTF situation. For a long-term prep idea, what I've done is I have my trauma supplies and I have my medical supplies. So trauma supplies are things for a traumatic incident, such as airway obstruction, a broken leg, uncontrolled bleeding, severe dehydration to where I need to administer an IV for fluids. Things like that. That's traumatic. Really severe cuts, suture, minor surgeries such as cyst removal. Stuff like that. That is what goes in the trauma kit. Just to briefly kind of go over this stuff, this is the kit that I'm going to go for if you fall off your roof next door. Or this is the kit I'm going to send my friend EMT to get out of my preps to work on me if something happens. And, this is more advanced, but not really necessarily advanced. Things like sterile gauze. This is Acrylex. Things like Israeli pressure dressings. These are for a bleed, a really bad bleed. Always try this first before you jump to a tourniquet. Speaking of tourniquets, there's tourniquets in here. Tourniquets are a whole nother video, a whole nother topic. Said look at some of Skinny Medic's videos. He's got stuff on tourniquets. Make sure you know what you're getting. These are the little cheap tourniquets that are pretty popular right now going around. These are cat tourniquets. If you're going to get a cat tourniquet, make sure you get an actual cat tourniquet, not a cheap tourniquet. The cat tourniquets are still cheap in my opinion, but they're better quality than a lot of the cheap stuff on eBay and stuff right now. The best tourniquet that you can buy for a worst case scenario or a combat zone or something is called a soft T. And these tourniquets are just really heavy duty, really well built. It's a big nylon strap. The soft or the cat tourniquets, they don't get real big. They work really good for to control an arm or something like that, but not a thigh. If you have a femoral bleed or something like that, that cat tourniquet's not going to do anything. This is called a soft T, and it's got the actual tourniquet handle, the cinch handle on it is aluminum, so it's not going to snap on you like the plastic cats will. And it's just real heavy duty. It's got a metal clamp system that the screw locks down on it to keep the clamp from opening up on you. And it's metal, so it's not going to break on you. It's just a really good quality. You can find those online as well, but make sure you get good tourniquets. So tourniquets, I've got a couple of soft T's, I've got a couple of cats, SAM splints, ACE bandages, things to wrap joints with. I have an airway kit, and this is oral, naso, and crike airways, so I can actually I can cut an airway in and insert a breathing tube. if you have a blockage or you bust your mouth or something like that. Also have needle decompression. Needle decompression is not something that you want to take lightly, but that is something that can really save someone's life if it's done correctly. So that's something that you can prep for. IV supplies, IV needles, IV drip sets, IV fluids. If you're going to buy fluids, don't waste your money on something crazy. Get stuff like lactated ringers and 0.9% normal saline. That kind of stuff is what we would use to replenish fluids in an emergency. You know, of course, we want you to drink water. We'll try dehydration salts, stuff like that. But if it really is serious and you're on the verge of death, then I'm going to start an IV and pump you full of some fluids. All right, so that's something good to have. Airway pocket masks. BVM, a bag valve mask, that's a great option to have. So just, you know, more long-term, more traumatic, more bleeding control, airway bleeding circulation. That's your biggest things, and so that's what's in this kit. It's my ABC kit. Moving on to like medical supplies or first aid supplies. You know, you can buy bulk Band-Aids, buy a big box of bulk Band-Aids. There's 160 Band-Aids in here, and these are the good Band-Aid brand, really stretchy, really good Band-Aids. You don't have to go out and buy a whole crap ton of these, but buy a box every now and then. Band-Aids are going to probably be like gold. This is currency right here in a worst case scenario. So Band-Aids, ointments. You know, the 87 or 99 cent table at Walmart is awesome to stock up on stuff. It's not all a good deal, but some of it is. You can buy like these tubes of bacitracin. Bacitracin is a great first aid ointment, even more so than Neosporin. But like this is like 87 cents. It's a half-ounce tube. That's a pretty good price. You know, you can't go wrong buying a few tubes of bacitracin. Athlete's foot cream, Carmex, Vaseline, hydrocortisone cream, stuff like that. That's a good deal. Some of the stuff that's not such a good deal is like the pain reliever, the acetaminophen. It's off-brand Tylenol. Basically, there's 24 tablets in here, 80 milligrams a piece. You'd have to take a whole bottle of this a day. You know, that's not really a good deal when you can go to, you know, like your local pharmacy and get a 500 count mega bottle of acetaminophen for $10. You know, that's a better deal than buying 10 boxes of these for $1 a piece. It's better to buy the big ones as opposed to that, and they'll be like 250 milligrams. That's a better deal. Just kind of be cognizant of what you're looking at. It's not all a good deal, but some of it is. All right, so that's where all of that kind of stuff is going to go. Tylenol, aspirin, ibuprofen, first aid ointments, Band-Aids, creams, cough drops, all that kind of stuff is going to go in your first aid / medical supply kit. Another thing that we've been recently stocking up on is the fish antibiotics. We got some fish mox and fish penicillin. It's the same exact thing as the stuff you're prescribed. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. Another good thing to have, rubbing alcohol, peroxide, things like that. That would go in your medical supply first aid kit. One thing that a lot of people don't talk about is hygiene. Hygiene is going to be super important. I mentioned this in another video. Hygiene is probably, in my opinion, going to be the long-term killer in a worst-case scenario, in a grid-down situation. Hygiene. Poor hygiene can lead to so many health problems. Right now, if you don't brush your teeth right now, what happens? You get a toothache, maybe a cavity, you go to the dentist, he fixes it. Right? So what if we don't have dental facilities? What if we don't have a dentist with the proper equipment to fill a cavity or pull a tooth? Or control that pain even? What if you don't have the painkiller? The way to way to treat that is prevention. And prevention is brushing your dang teeth. So toothpaste, toothbrushes, things like that. And there's ways to make natural toothpaste. If you want to prep the supplies, baking soda and peroxide, you can make toothpaste out of that, right? So there's ways to prep, but prep for things like hygiene, personal hygiene, soap. I don't use daily like the fancy Axe body washes and stuff. I use plain old Dial bar soap. I like it. That's just what I use. I feel clean when I use it. I feel like I really scrubbed. But it's multi-purpose. I can use it to wash my body, and I can use it to wash my my hands. If my hands get real dirty, I can wash under my fingernails with it. I can wash my hair with it if I need to. I can wash my face with it. I can wash everything with plain Dial soap, right? And so you can buy those. Here is a 20 bar pack I picked up probably at Sam's Club for probably like $4 or $5. I don't remember for sure, but I've had that in my preps for a while. So that kind of stuff is important too. Fingernail brushes. A little fingernail brush, something as simple as a fingernail brush. That's an idea to keep in your long-term medical hygiene kit. Preps, if you got to think right now, you jump in the shower, and in everyday life, the best way to clean your fingernails is wash your hair. You scrub your hair and the follicles of your hair to get up under your fingernails with the soap that you use and wash your hair, and it washes out underneath your fingernails. It works great for that. It's a natural way to clean underneath your fingernails. But in a situation where you're not taking a shower all the time, you'll need something like a fingernail brush. That's a 99-cent prep, and it could save your life. No BS. There's so much bacteria that gets up underneath your fingernails, and then you transmit that bacteria to yourself via eating or using the bathroom or anything, and God forbid you transmit it to your kid. So anyway, guys, that's what I wanted to talk to you about in long-term medical preps. Don't forget, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to rate, and you can also check out the suggested videos and click on the little box to check out the Heritage Pride Custom Firearms YouTube channel, and as far as the Homestead, or as well as the Homestead, and subscribe. Until next time, get out there, shoot some guns, be safe, and most importantly, have fun.